The phrase crimes against humanity is used pretty frequently today in describing current and past events, but it would have sounded strange 100 years ago. Before we get into the specifics of the meat of this course, which are the genocides of the 20th century, we need to spend a little time on definitions, sources, and stages of genocide. The word was coined by Raphael Lemkin during World War II and became part of our vocabulary during the Nuremberg tribunals, as the world became aware of the horrible events that had taken place during the Holocaust. In fact, genocides happened long before the 20th century, but it was not really until the American and French revolutions, however, that people generally began using the phrase human rights and publicly criticizing actions that today we would consider crimes against humanity. In 1948, the United Nations developed this definition of genocide. It then identified the specific actions that would qualify as genocidal. Unfortunately, because of disagreements among UN Security Council members about political questions, such as should the UN intervene in a civil war situation, the creation of the definition did not lead immediately to an international criminal court. In fact, it took almost 50 years since the Nuremberg Tribunal convicted German officials of crimes against humanity for an international criminal court to be created. So that takes care of the definition. But what about the causes of genocide? Why do individuals and groups tend to kill or wipe out entire people groups? One cause is fear. A group may feel threatened by an opposing ethnic or religious group and decide the safest course of action to remove that threat is to eliminate the group. A complicated past in Rwanda led to the majority Hutus attempting to eliminate the resented Tutsis during their 1994 crisis. Another reason is a desire for land or territory. The ethnic group occupying it is in the way. The easiest way to take the territory is to kill or move out the residents. The worst genocides in American history resulted from the westward migration as the Indian residents were killed or moved to reservations. A third reason is the desire to cleanse a nation from corrupting elements. This was the case with many Nazis in Germany who perceived the Jews as a threat to German purity. Jews were seen as polluting German and then European nations, and then world cultures, and needed to be wiped out. While genocide can occur at any time, it is most likely to occur in times of war, when tensions are high and governments and citizens are suspicious of elements within society. During World War I, the Ottoman Turks suffered massive defeats from Russian forces. In turn, they persecuted Armenian citizens, many of them who had been loyal subjects of the Ottoman Empire. Cambodia's war with North Vietnam in the 1970s made a horrible situation of genocide even worse for Cambodian citizens who found themselves caught between opposing armies. Victims of genocide may be the perceived leaders of the targeted community, such as religious leaders, teachers, or professionals. But they also may be the powerless and most vulnerable. At times, those carrying out the genocide will attempt to use group leaders to assist them with their efforts of killing or deportation. At times, victims are placed into concentration camps to isolate them from the general population and control them more effectively. Gregory Stanton of Genocide Watch identified 8 stages of genocide. It is important to note that the stages don't always take place in an exact order. In addition, progress through these stages is not inevitable. Stanton states that at any stage, steps can be taken to halt the genocide. The Crimes Against Humanity text gives detailed descriptions of each of the stages of genocide. From the initial stages of classification to the final stage of denial, individuals, groups, and governments attempt to eliminate the unwanted groups from their midst. When we get to Unit 9, we will examine responses to genocide and what can be done to prevent its occurrence. An essential question one needs to ask when studying genocide is, at what point does it become the world's business, or my nation's business, or my personal business to become involved in a situation within a nation? After killing Abel, Cain asked God, "Am I my brother's keeper?" That important question, along with "Who is my neighbor?" should be in the backs of our minds as we examine the genocides of the 20th century.